Hi YouTube, welcome to a new project coming to you from the YouTube channel All Things Hitman. This is a brand new concept. Most of you know me as Reaper1. I make Hitman videos on YouTube. We're just days away at the time of recording from the release, the global launch of Hitman 3, the third and final entry to conclude the World of Assassination trilogy. And obviously being a Hitman channel, I wanted to cover the lifespan of this final entry of the trilogy as I have the previous two entries, but I wanted to mix up the format. I wanted to start a podcast, and this is the pilot episode of this brand new project. I have with me a very special member of the Hitman community. He goes by the name of timothymark, aka to some as Duck.
Yep.
And so welcome, man. Thanks so much for joining me.
I'm really excited.
Yeah. I mean, and by the way, I just want to put it out there from the very beginning. This is not like my main project. This is a completely, despite it being on the All Things Hitman channel to begin with anyway, we'll see what happens later down the line depending on how it goes. But this is a joint project and something we've both come up with together, and we're very excited to get it off the ground.
Yeah, it was an interesting story actually when we came up with it, because remember you posted your idea for having a podcast about Hitman and the community. And then I coincidentally was in the server where you posted that, and I had a very similar idea personally, like separately from you entirely, and I was considering looking for someone else to co-host with me as well. So yeah, it came together, as you say. The stars aligned.
Yeah, the stars aligned.
Yeah,
yeah, it worked out well. I mean, just the fact that we came up with the idea at a similar point in time, and also the fact that obviously we're both Australian, so
yes,
that's a huge plus. Obviously working with someone that lives in wherever, somewhere in Europe or something, it's going to be a lot harder to meet up and confer and
yeah, same time zones make it so much easier.
yeah from a production standpoint, it's very convenient. So we've kind of jotted down some notes. I mean, this is the very first time either of us have ever made a podcast.
This is the pilot of all podcasts for us, and this podcast, so I think it might be a bit shaky at the start, but that's okay.
We'll see how we go. We should probably mention the working title of the podcast.
Yes.
Before we get too far into it.
Hitman Hideout.
Hitman Hideout.
Hitman Hideout.
I think it's originally it was Hitfan Hideout. It was your idea.
Maybe a little too complicated, like a bit too wordy for the.
But we made it topical.
Yes.
Put it on subject, which is great, and alliteration always works.
Yeah, I mean, I think the meaning of the word hideout in this context is obviously 47 often has hideouts, especially in the older games.
Yeah,
but we wanted it to be sort of reminiscent of, because in the hideouts it's where like you can sort of collect yourself, and all the guns and weapons and training things are all in there, and it feels like we want this podcast to be a place for to sort of collate and bring together different aspects of the community, which may not be necessarily aware of each other, or so there might be some very well-known Hitman speedrun over here and an artist over here, and they're not aware of each other yet. But we want to bring them together.
Yeah, we want it to be kind of like a cornerstone or a meeting place where that exactly. We want this to be a Hitman community centric podcast or platform where the community can come together and talk about Hitman basically, and celebrate this fantastic franchise that we're all such huge fans of. And I suppose that's why both of us came up with the idea for a podcast, because despite there being, a very prominent presence online, in certain formats or mediums such as the Hitman forum or the subreddit or various individual
Discords
or Hitman channels or whatever, but it's almost like they're in
fragmented.
Fragmented. They're in their own silos, whereas there's nothing that's kind of bringing us together aside from IO Monthly.
Yes.
but that's more I think actually no, sorry, Froat's speedrunning community.
Froat's speedrun community is great for very welcoming to new members. Shout out to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
That's not to say the Hitman community is not completely absent of any,
Yeah.
activity
Glue.
or glue,
Yeah.
exactly.
Glue.
But
Yeah.
there's not a lot of collaboration
Yeah.
between different members. So that I think that was like a big driving force in how this concept or the idea for the podcast came together in both our minds, because
Exactly. Yeah.
you know,
Like I'm like when I'm moderating the subreddit and Discord, I see lots of people, like amazing, like people posting art, people making replica silver ballers, all sorts of incredible stuff around, amazing speed runs and creative things from people like Urban. And I want everyone to be able to peek into different aspects of the community. Like a speedrunner may not necessarily look at the work of someone who makes like ambient audio of each level, for example, but they showcase different aspects and perhaps even do interviews with different community members.
Well, we don't have a concrete plan at this stage, do we? We don't have a concrete format. We're kind of just going with the flow.
We're going with it.
Yeah, we don't have a set mold. We're just going to experiment, see what works. I think definitely the plan is to obviously post-launch cover Hitman 3, especially with monthly updates. Definitely want to get both prominent figures within the Hitman community on, whether it be cast members or those with a large significant following, or even just anyone that's part of the community that has something interesting to say. We're also open to definitely open to the idea of having anyone on, really.
We're not limiting it to people with a big following or influence or employees necessarily. Like everyone's welcome. We're looking for a good story, a good chat.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what it's all about, bringing the community together.
Exactly.
So really excited that we're on the road with it. So we kind of came up with a rough plan, didn't we, to map out this pilot episode, and one of the introductory segments we wanted to go with was to kind of have a bit of a two-way discussion about how we both got into the Hitman franchise. And
maybe different stories.
I think it's always interesting to hear different individuals' perspectives on what attracted them to the world of Hitman, I suppose.
Especially with a niche sort of series where sometimes, especially in the older games, it may not be as flashy, but there's something about the games which draw you in. And I think lots of people have an interesting story of why
Absolutely.
they play Hitman.
Yeah. I think a big draw card has been Jesper Kid's soundtrack.
Absolutely.
In the classics. That was definitely one of the biggest draw cards for me, personally.
Me too.
When I first played the first Hitman game I played. But how did your story begin? How did you...
Yeah, so it's been interesting actually. So I don't know how old I was, probably in my middle teen years, somewhere there. I think maybe in a Humble Bundle or on Steam or something, I picked up Absolution because back then I was like, oh, graphics, yay, buy. And then I didn't like it. I'd always heard of Hitman, but I played through Dinah's Mansion and I played through a little bit more and it just didn't click with me at all. So I put it down. But I kept reading online because I was very active online back then. Not in the Hitman community necessarily, but Steam forums and places like that. Not the best place, but everyone mentioned Blood Money, and I'm sure everyone knows Blood Money. Everyone says play Blood Money first, and
the magnum opus.
Yeah, and I saw this screenshot of the casino, like the entrance. I was like, well, that's actually pretty good for an older game. Maybe I'll check it out. Older games can't be too bad. I absolutely loved Blood Money. I fell in love with it instantly, and I played through that whole thing. I feel like I stretched out. I played through it and I stopped and restarted because I didn't want to finish it. I didn't want the game to end. And it's probably like under the newest games, probably one of my most played games of all time now, Blood Money, because I loved it. Yeah, and And then I went back and played through all of the other games in order before 2016. So that would have been in 2015. I would have played through Hitman, Codename 47, all the way up to Absolution. I finally finished that game. And here we are, yeah.
Yeah, wow. That's cool, man. Yeah, it's interesting. I think if anyone that's familiar with my videos, they may have heard me tell this story before, but my first Hitman game was Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. And this was 2003, so this goes to show how old I am. I was like 12 or 13, and my family got a new desktop computer, like a new PC, and
big deal back then. New PC.
Yeah, new PC came with a couple of free CD-ROMs, couple of free CD, like couple of computer games, and one of them was Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. And
perfect.
Somehow got through the tutorial level as a 12-year-old kid, and then played Anathema. And this is where the Vesper Kid Draw card comes into play, because that soundtrack in that level still, reverberates in my mind as one of my most.
That's an incredible soundtrack.
Yeah,
and the whole game. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I love the story of Hitman 2 Silent Assassin. It's still my favorite game in the series, despite not having the best of everything like Blood Money, but it just just some of the quotes. I'm a huge fan of the overarching story of the series. So some of the quotes in I think Bateson delivered some of his best lines as 47 in that game. Like, there's some incredibly memorable
That's my
quotes.
favorite delivery of his... Like, that game has a very specific way of him delivering his lines. And it's my favorite. Yeah. I love it. It feels very... It's not quite world-weary, but it's some sort of undescribable emotion that they're trying to put across.
Do you remember how he goes through this crisis of identity in that game? Yeah. And he tries to find himself, where he belongs in the world. And then at the very end... he finally accepts that he is an assassin, a cold-blooded assassin, and he says something like he exits Gontranos in Sicily, that Sicilian chapel or whatever it was, where he was seeking sanctuary for so long, and he says something along the lines of, choose your own truth. I can't remember it word for word, but don't trust anyone. Rely on your instincts. I'm going to choose the truth I like, or something like that. Like, I'm going to pave my own way. And that has always stuck in my mind. And that's something that's actually a value I've developed in life. As sad as that sounds.
That's incredible,
pave your own way in life. Don't let society or whatever, I'm getting too philosophical now. We'll get back on track. But that,
but he often, you make a good point, like, in that game, he tries to take solace at the church doing gardening, and that's another organization that is he goes from Ortmeyer straight to the end to what is it called, ICA. How do I forget that? ICA straight to moves from that organization to another, a church. He likes this sort of order, but he doesn't find peace because of who he is. And I think it's like this ongoing crisis of it. There's a lot more to it, but I really love that story. Yeah.
I think it's still favorite entry. Anyway, and going back to Blood Money, I had so much fun with that game as well when it first came out. I got it on PS2, and I used to play the hell out of it on console, and then I actually didn't touch it for 7 or 8 years.
And, really? Wow.
A lot of time went by, and then when I went back to it just about probably 18 months ago, it'd been so long since I played it that it was almost like playing it all over again, because there was so much...
I'm envious. I'm envious of that experience.
There was so much I'd forgotten about it. I used to be able to do every level, not suit only, but Silent Assassin. I used to comfortably beat every level, even on expert difficulty. Pro, sorry.
Yeah.
And and it was almost like, so if you want to get to the closest possible point of experiencing a Hitman game for the first time, just don't play it for 10 years.
Oh, that's a task. Oh, no.
That's a task.
So clearly, people have different stories how they get into the games, and we're going to share some more stories from some of the viewers from the All Things Hitman channel later.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting more on topic with the approaching release of Hitman 3.
A week out from now, it's recording.
Week out from now.
Oh, man.
Pretty exciting. Yeah. The hype is building.
The days slow down,
Yeah. So I think we wanted to discuss both the pros and cons of both Hitman 1.
Yeah. Hitman 1.
By the way, on
Hitman 2.
this podcast, we will be referring to Hitman 2016 as Hitman 1.
Yes. That is now the official terminology, I believe. So Hitman 1, Hitman 2. Yeah.
Yeah, precisely. Yeah. So do you want to start off?
Yeah. So question before I start. When did you begin playing Hitman 1? Was that at release or
No, I actually came in about a year after it was released. Yeah. So I think it came out in May 2016.
I believe around then, yes. So
Oh, sorry, you go.
We would have different experiences then, because I pre-ordered that game.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I played it they originally released the training facility as like a demo before release, as a pre-order bonus almost, I think.
Right.
So I've been here since the beginning, so we would have different experiences with 2016 actually.
Yeah, we probably would.
Yeah.
Because I think, I wasn't involved with the Hitman community at all. I would probably describe myself as a casual fan before the World of Assassination trilogy came out. Yeah. Hitman was definitely one of my ultimate favourite video game series, but I'd never kind of got as involved as I have now. So I don't know what the Hitman community was like prior to the release of Hitman 2016. Sorry, Hitman 1. I've got to get used to saying Hitman 1.
Yeah, that's right.
Still adjusting. But
I can shed some light on that if you want.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So in around 2016, I had previously put out a memo to the community that said something along the lines of, this was after Absolution came out. They said something along the lines of, we're going to go back to the drawing board. We're aware that the Absolution may be not what the core fans were looking for in a Hitman game. And we're going to pretty much make a game which appeals to that crowd. Because there was a lot of... Absolution was very successful and popular, but it wasn't either of those things with the core Hitman community. So I think the technology they established in Absolution really lent itself to making this Hitman 1 work. And leading up to it, I think there was a bit of tenuous feelings about it, but there was an alpha that some people got to play, and there was very positive reception from that, and people started to get quite excited.
I remember hearing about the alpha version.
Yeah. And when the demo was released, which had just the training facility, people were totally on board. People were like, yes, okay, this is Hitman again.
Yeah,
this is what we're looking for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Of course, it was released episodically, so there was quite a different experience there. It felt like 6 game releases.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's touch on the episodic format in a moment, because I think that's a really interesting thing to talk about. But just briefly, I'll just go back to the mindset of the community leading up to the release, because I had no idea that IO had released like a memo to the community to say we're going back to the drawing board. I just assumed that it was a blind release. People didn't know what to expect. And I just assumed that, obviously there was like a 6-year gap between... Blood Money came out in 2006. That's like the magnum opus, the best Hitman game that I think collectively... they've cracked it. They've made the perfect Hitman game. Yeah.
They're going to make another one.
You can't top this. So Absolution obviously had a really good marketing campaign, had a lot of big budget behind it, and everyone was expecting like the next level up from Blood Money sort of thing. Yeah. And it was a bit of a huge disappointment, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking, like, what were people expecting after Absolution? Like, obviously the bar's been brought right down, but there's almost that kind of, I don't know what the right word is, but that kind of like...
the word tenuous, is that the word?
Yeah, tenuous, yeah. People
they were quite...
like,
unsure.
not as trusting.
Yeah.
In
they're like, they kind of made another Kane and Lynch-ish sort of action game. Maybe they don't make stealth games anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, but the fact that, so anyway, I think it's interesting that they were vocal about going back to the drawing board with the community. I think that's cool.
They were. I'll try and find the post, and I might link it somewhere, because if it's still around, because it was quite, like, it shows how early like IO, not how early. It shows how IO has cared about the core audience, even maybe at the expense of profits. Because I reckon if they made the sequel to Absolution, which they did, well, they didn't, they were planning to, got cancelled, probably would have sold well.
Yeah,
but
has that ever been officially?
I think so. Yeah, I've heard rumors of it at least.
Yeah,
maybe it's not like, oh yeah, it's been announced, but I'm pretty sure there was a sequel at least planned.
Yeah, because it definitely ended on
it was a
cliffhanger. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I still think they should bring Birdie back as an elusive target.
That's what I think too. That'd be so good. IO.
Yeah. Take notes. Yeah, 100%. Going back to Hitman 1. Just the whole episodic format. I love that.
So
I mean, and I, as I've already stated, I didn't come into Hitman 1 until April of 2017. So I think by then the first 4 episodes were already out. So I accessed Paris, Sapienza, Bangkok, and Marrakesh from the get-go.
Very different experience, yeah.
Yeah, and Colorado was like the first level that was released as an episode that I experienced. And obviously Colorado being universally
less of a fan favorite,
yeah. I think it's pretty universally recognized as the least favorite level. In
I would
terms
disagree,
of design.
but universally, yes, probably.
So yeah, I mean, it was still a cool level, but yeah, I just remember thinking, oh damn, this isn't as good as the others.
Yeah. So yeah, how did you, just a question before I talk about the episodic release, how did you find, did you feel encouraged by the game to play through each level more than once initially? I mean, obviously you would have done it with Blood Money and other games, the other Hitman games, but did you feel like, oh, this game's pushing me forward, or did you sort of stick around in Paris, move to Sapienza? How did you play it originally?
Oh, gee.
If you remember.
I don't think I remember vividly. I definitely played particular levels more than others. But not necessarily in chronological order. Like, I would have done one playthrough as far as I could go.
Yeah.
And then I most likely went back to, say, Sapienza, because it's
classic.
Yeah.
And very anathema type vibes on the mansion especially.
Yeah, definitely, with the Crusoe mansion and everything. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have vivid memories of how. What about you? Did you?
Yeah, so I was playing the demo, the training facility, over and over again, anticipating Paris. And so originally, like, just to give a bit of quick history, the game was originally going to be released, I think 2015 or very early 2016. It was delayed, and they said they're going to release the first 3 missions and then do the last 3 episodically. That was the original plan. It was originally full game. Then it was switched to 3 missions and 3 episodes, and then it was completely episodic. And I think that slow changing made people be like, uh-oh, this game is in development hell, and they were very worried. Yeah. But thankfully, it was very good. And when Paris came out, I was playing that obsessively. The first 3 episodes, I believe, released monthly. So it was Paris, next month Sapienza, next month Marrakesh. Then there was a break, and then there was Bangkok.
Okay. Oh wow, okay, I didn't realize that.
So there was, people were excited, making tons of videos. The game was getting updated weekly, new escalations. Things were getting patched out. Originally, the Lancer sniper rifle could shoot through concrete walls and like ceilings and floors. And people, that one day got patched, and that was the huge drama of the time.
AKA wallbangs, right?
Yeah, wallbang Lancer. So there's still a lot of proponents of that.
I remember hearing about that saga.
Yeah.
Or maybe
so there's a lot of
or maybe reading about it. You know when you go trawling through the Hitman forums on old threads. Yeah.
Yeah, late night Hitman forum trawling.
Yeah.
But so there was a lot of constantly updated, changing. All the minute details were analyzed by the community.
But it was a solid game, wasn't it? Particularly compared to Hitman 2. Like it didn't have anywhere near as many bugs, or it was definitely
by final release, I think the game was actually buggier than early.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
the view cones particularly were the
That's
biggest
right.
problem at the time. So you can still go back and play
Yeah,
view cone.
I've
and
heard
the view
about
cones
that.
are a bit, yeah.
I've heard about that controversy as well. The old
Yeah.
Viewcone controversy.
Yeah. But yeah, Hitman 2 resolved that, and it came with a bunch of other issues.
Yeah, I remember when it first launched. Like half the time when you tried to shoot cameras out.
Just wouldn't no hitbox.
No hitbox. Yeah, ammo just went straight through.
Yeah, there were all sorts of little things, and a lot of things fixed, a lot of things broken.
And you'd see people shooting at it like 6 times.
What's happening?
Yeah,
I remember that.
yeah,
and there are a few other little funny things in that game, but
Yeah.
I'd say the game overall was pretty solid.
yeah,
But yeah, less of a there was less live content in Hitman 2, probably because they had to cut a lot of the stuff.
yeah.
Because that's when they moved to
Because of
Warner
Square's
Brothers. They bought themselves, moved to Warner Brothers.
Yeah, after Square Enix, the main
Yeah,
publisher.
Square Enix left.
Yeah,
But then the incredible thing, putting Hitman 1 into Hitman 2 and effectively remastering it was stroke of genius.
Oh yeah,
Incredibly generous.
yeah, incredibly generous.
Yeah.
And in the No Clip documentary, going back to the episodic from a business perspective, obviously it was a very innovative idea, but it failed monumentally from a profit standpoint
And a PR standpoint.
And a
People
PR
didn't
standpoint.
like the idea. Yeah.
No, but in the No Clip documentary, Hakan Abrak, I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, the CEO of IO Interactive, he explained that whole debacle in IO's history, and then they just took a punt and released Sapienza for free for I think a week or something. I can't remember how long it was.
It sounds familiar. I feel like I remember.
Yeah, and that kind of saved them in a way, because obviously a lot of people, particularly on console, jumped on board and gave it a go. And Sapienza was the perfect choice because obviously it's the best level they've made by far.
There's so much content, so many different. There's multiple missions. Yeah, the map's beautiful. Yeah.
Just imagine if every map had multiple missions like Sapienza.
Well, there's 4 now or something. Yeah, I think there's 4 fully fledged Hitman missions on that map. So yeah. So and I think Patient Zero was released to kind of make a bit more money at the end of the life cycle of 2016.
Yeah, definitely, to kind of keep them afloat.
Yeah,
and that was very well done as well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Some people didn't like it as much, but I think it was very creative. They played with the formula a bit. Especially with the last level. And they kind of tested the waters for the sniper mode in Hitman 2.
Yeah, they did with what was it called? The Vector. That's right. Yeah, I like that concept, and I like I like the fact that they brought back that Hitman 2 Silent Assassin, St. Petersburg stakeout aspects. Where Diana,
the colonel is wearing a mustache or whatever it
was. Diana drops these subtle hints to assist you in identifying your target. Yeah, it's really cool.
So, Hitman 2 was released all at once, and I think that was more popular with the general public.
Definitely,
and I presume it was relatively successful in the end because they're making the third one.
Absolutely. I remember I actually did a bit of research I made a video about kind of estimating how many copies Hitman 2 sold, and I got a bit of assistance with it. I just used the leaderboards. So I gathered data from PlayStation 4 leaderboards, Xbox One, and PC, obviously. And I think it, obviously gathered Paris, because everyone will have played Paris, everyone will have played Miami, or New Zealand, Hawke's Bay, and kind of tallied those all together. And it was, I think the estimation was 1.5 to 2 million copies or something like that.
Substantial, this is all like conjecture, but
of course, nothing, no official figures.
No insights here, but good estimation. And I think recently they gave away Hitman 1 on Epic Store for free, the whole game. And I really hope that benefits Hitman 3, because that's entirely self-published this time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a big change. I imagine that's
Yeah.
incredibly difficult, but good luck.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they've obviously the fact that they were able to pull themselves out as a company, the fact that IO were able to pull themselves out of that black hole after Squexit and not only negotiated a deal for themselves, but
keep Hitman like that. Is incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So they obviously have a very solid team.
Yeah.
You know, particularly high up.
Yeah. And technically an indie company now. Incredible work.
Yeah. It's incredible. How did you think Hitman 2 compared to Hitman 20? Sorry, How do you think Hitman 2 compared to Hitman 1?
Hitman 1.
In terms of like, I don't know, I suppose marketing and just general development.
All right. So overall, let's say, overall experience for me personally, Hitman 1 was more of a like addiction. Oh, I'm definitely addicted to both of them, but very like I was there for every release on the minute, like downloading it straight away on terrible Australian internet, and it was very like and the 6 releases of like each map was just like, it was so compelling and kinetic, and I loved that. And the Hitman 2, there was one release, and then there were 2 more missions afterwards, and that gave me a little bit of that feeling again. But overall, I think Hitman 2 it was flashier, not in a negative way, but in a good for marketing way. Like that racing level was very very beautiful,
very glitzy.
Glitzy, glamour.
I think that's why they put so much emphasis on that particular mission with the marketing. It's just the vibrancy of it all.
It's incredible. I really like, lots of people like the contract sort of dark atmosphere. I like the light ones as well.
Absolutely. I mean, look at Dubai, for instance.
I
was thinking that today from a symbolic standpoint. Sorry to move on to Hitman 3. Maybe I should save that. No, I was just going to say it's interesting that they start Hitman 3 on a high note. Literally, literally on a high note.
But
we'll talk about that more. We'll focus on Hitman 2 for now.
What I was saying was, I think Hitman 2, like I have a friend who they were kind of into 2016. They really enjoyed it. But Hitman 2 really cemented it for them. They liked all the little changes. There was all the maps they felt were consistently brilliant. They even really liked Hawke's Bay, which is contentious, but I also like Hawke's Bay.
I'm a big fan of Hawke's Bay.
And
Oceania represent.
Yes. Come to Australia, 47.
He actually did the training map was set in Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
He's arguably been. He's been here in spirit.
It's really difficult for me because I'm so invested in both of them, and I don't know which one I prefer.
I think considering the pressure that IO were under after Squexit, I think Hitman 2 was still a fabulous game. Obviously, they had to let go a lot of their... I don't know how many, what the ratio of staff was that they had to let go, but it was obviously
a considerable number, I think.
Right, and it was obviously enough to make a substantial dent in their efficiency in terms of eradicating bugs, because I remember with every update, they would fix one thing, but then something else would arise as a result. Like, do you remember the trank gun glitch?
Still in the game.
Oh, it's still in the game. I
used it today to check it out. And trank gun's still in. And the worst, both games like 2016, Hitman 1 and 2 both have like quite like not quite game breaking bugs where Hitman 1 has the view cones just completely broken. Hitman 2 has the emetic, like the targets don't go to bathrooms.
That's
like,
right. They always
only to bins.
Only to bins. Yes.
Hitman 2. So that's still in the game.
Yes.
I imagine they're going to fix it for 3 and just make that the final package.
Yes, because I remember like Ken Morgan is a prime example. The lawyer target on the ground level of Bangkok and Hitman 1. If you put some emetic poison in the sushi that he eats, or if you manage to pin him with a syringe, I have this faint memory of him going to the bathroom, and then but now he'd always go to the bin. So that makes perfect sense because I must have got him in Hitman 1.
Yeah.
In Hitman 2,
there you go.
Hitman 2, he always goes and chucks his guts up the bin under the coconut tree.
Yeah, so most games that'd be like the worst thing ever. But since it's all going to be in Hitman 3, presumably they're going to like figure out what's wrong in the code and fix that one. So it's kind of like this weird live trilogy where everything comes together. Yeah.
And obviously from a story standpoint, I was... I mean, obviously they did well with what they had at the time, but I couldn't help but notice the distinct downgrade in cutscenes between the two entries, and considering it's supposed to be a flowing, overarching narrative.
Bizarre, I have a very unpopular opinion. I really like the moving image cutscenes from Hitman 2. Very unpopular. But I concede my point that they probably mess with the flow a little bit, yes. Hitman 3, we have them back.
I don't dislike them. I think purely from if all the cutscenes were like that, I just like continuity. So
I totally get it. I agree with you fully on that.
If all the cutscenes were like that, you have to admit that even the cutscenes in Hitman 3 aren't as great as Hitman 2016.
They're all in engine, I think. Yeah,
exactly.
They're not a motion graphics house.
All in engine. Yeah, it's not like proper animation. And Square Enix funded all that in Hitman 2016. And I think they've used proper animation for that announcement trailer.
Yeah,
where 47's going through the forest and
like fully rendered 3D stuff. I don't know a lot about animation, but
neither do I. No, I know nothing.
But I think the briefings were. I feel like the briefings were full motion in Hitman 2, weren't they?
They were. Yeah.
So I think they just moved their. I think they shifted the financial assets elsewhere.
I think you're right. Because absolutely, in particularly with this trilogy, the overarching story's always been in the background. You can tell even by IO released a video today called "Shaping the Narrative," I think, which is an interview purely with the writers, and it only got 30K views, whereas the announcement trailer or anything else they release, it's just gameplay focused, like VR.
Yes.
250K views.
Incredible editing. They have really good trailers for the most part. Yeah.
Oh, the trailers are just fantastic. I think
they're brilliant. I love them. Some of my favorites.
There has been quite an emphasis on Dubai, like there was with marketing for Hitman 3, like there was with Miami for Hitman 2. But I think the fact that they've showcased gameplay features more this time around. Like I believe Hitman 2. They only released one trailer that just briefly showed us a glimpse of now you can hide in shrubbery, now you can hide in crowds.
Yes, it was
we're bringing the briefcase back.
Whereas this time it's VR, experimental mission structures, all that sort of stuff. They've really
shortcuts.
Shortcuts.
Invigorated the
Knives Out level. Yeah, they really put emphasis on. Look, we're trying different things. We're experimenting, but we're keeping that. Hitman thing there.
I think with Hitman 2 compared to Hitman 1, definitely I'm not sure if this is just because I was used to the Hitman control schematics, but I remember I hadn't played Hitman 2016, Hitman 1, in so long, and I went back to it one day to play that Sony exclusive. I can't remember. I think they were called the Sarajevo 6.
Yes, I never played them.
Oh, you never played that? Oh.
I really wish I did. I know The Last Target's incredibly interesting, but haven't played them.
So I went back to play that, and the controls are slightly different on console compared between the two entries. So I noticed the controls for me personally, anyway, felt more fluid with Hitman 2 on PlayStation 4. I don't know if it would be the same on between the two entries in. I don't know if there's any difference
on PC. They moved the place items button from I think Alt to Caps Lock or something like that, and they shifted a couple other buttons around. And I prefer Hitman 2's.
Does it feel more fluid?
Yeah, and the animations. I actually went back and played 2016 Hitman 1 today, as to before the podcast, and the controls and animations just feel sluggish compared to the new one. Very slow. And he sort of takes his time climbing up walls and stuff. And you're like, oh, okay, yeah. They really put a lot of effort into just these fine details. That's the only anything you can get from like a live release structure like this.
Yeah. I remember in the beta version of Hitman 2, they obviously hadn't tweaked the running animation, the jogging animation to its final product, and it was very like jagged,
stilted. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. He also had force powers. He could pick things up from really far away, and like pistols would fly to his hands. And stuff.
Really, I never
saw
that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I think overall, both very solid games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite, or are you gonna just say?
I think there's aspects of both that I like more than the other. Like the biggest thing I appreciate more about Hitman 1 was that I liked that the inventory and the attire weren't too over expansive.
Sure.
So you weren't kind of overwhelmed with too much choice. I think with Hitman 2 they definitely went overboard with particularly suits.
There's something like 60 something suits.
Yeah, it's insane, and just the amount of the repetition with the melee items reskins. That's a big criticism community wide.
3 fiberwires or
yeah.
They did add tabs into the inventory screen or the planning screen, so you could like melee poisons, but that wasn't in 2016. It was just one big scrolling screen.
Yeah, I liked that. I like that more limited
choice.
I think quality over quantity is important, and I don't think there were many reskins in Hitman 1.
No, it was quite. The only reskins I think were coins and guns. I think most things were single like items with very particular use, and I'd say that is a criticism of the new games. I mean, there's obviously the Mark II meme where all the weapons just have a pink sticker on them.
Yeah, I love that turned into a meme. I think you have to
name praise it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Obviously, with all they went through with Square Exit, that's
It's not a complaint. It's more of a like it's turned into something fun, and they it's just like everyone like new players. They don't have the lockpick. Let's just chuck a sticker on there. It's a bit of fun. It's all right. Yeah,
I'm sure they'll have at least one item with a 3 sticker slap on the side of it. just to pay homage to the meme.
Yes. One last comment on the differences between these two. On a community side, I think I noticed a distinct change in how the developers treated the game. How do I describe this? So in the first game, they had a very sort of serious tone, not story-wise, but they would be like, okay, here's the new escalation. It's very blah blah blah. But in Hitman 2, or maybe even starting in Patient Zero, they started to just let in a bit of more comedy into the sort of main game.
It's much
because
more
the games are very fun, like funny, but they're very self-serious. But now they embrace things like the Mark II briefcase, or they're very and they're very Hitman 47 is very quippy. Flamingo disguise, all that nonsense.
It's almost like there was that element of that in Blood Money, I feel.
Yeah.
Despite Blood Money having its very kind of dark moments.
Blood Money's like straight, like it plays it straight, but it's hilarious in the background.
Yeah. Like you had targets that were described as like child molesters. Or,
that's the opera,
Yeah.
It's like, oh my goodness.
Really dark. But like scum of society. But then conversely, you can like drop a grand piano on a target in what's that mission called?
The one in New Orleans.
In New Orleans, when she's wearing the
a murder of crows.
Murder of crows. That's it. And the feathers go everywhere.
Yeah, like exploding.
Like it's fantastic. It's a perfect combination of serious mixed with.
It's like this dark humor, like underlining everything that happens.
Black comedy? I don't know if that's right.
Black comedy, I don't know all the buzzwords, but
they definitely brought that. They re-envisioned that well in Hitman 2.
Yes,
definitely,
absolutely.
Yeah, leading into Hitman 3, it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they're going to. They obviously, because they keep saying Hitman 3 is going to be much darker in tone compared to the first two. So they'll probably definitely tone down that level of
just sort of insane comedy, yeah.
Yeah, and that kind of slapstick. I mean, there'll still be those slapstick elements in assassination opportunities and things like that. But
I think, looking even just at basic screenshots of, you see something like, compare Miami with flamingos running around to something like Dubai. It already feels like this more sedated, even though it's very bright and vibrant.
Yeah,
it's not leaning into the comedy all the way. It's very, it's this sedated sort of sinister idea of like all these rich people in a room have these the grand opening of this giant tower.
Yeah, like the elite just getting anywhere they can to not be near the little people.
Exactly. And then and like then followed by I think 3 dark sort of nighttime levels. I don't think England's at night, but it's definitely overcast.
Yeah, overcast. And then from the one screenshot they've shared of, obviously we've seen a bit of Chongqing and Berlin, and even Argentina, Mendoza looks quite. That's the name of the city, right?
Yeah, Mendoza.
Mendoza. Yeah, that looks kind of overcast from that.
It looks like it looks like they've put vibrancy in it, but it's definitely, it feels quite. Yeah, I guess sedate's the right way to put it. Yeah, it doesn't feel like Sapienza.
No, definitely not. No, in fact, definitely in terms of aesthetics, Dubai, from what we've seen so far, and Dubai is most of what we've seen so far, so it's hard to judge at this point, but from what we've seen, Dubai definitely looks, as you say, the most vibrant.
Yeah.
And
then it sort of goes down from there.
Yeah, the kind of
I imagine
antithesis of
the story sort of develops.
Yeah.
Which I like. I'm glad they're going for that. I'm glad they're changing it up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of cool that it'd be interesting to see if each level kind of symbolically represents, the course of the story, and if the story does get darker and darker and darker, is it?
Yeah. We'll definitely discuss it, I think, in a future episode.
Yeah, definitely. Once everyone knows what's happened, it's going to be really interesting to cover in depth. What elements of all that we've just discussed? Well, I didn't ask you. Did I ask you which one you preferred?
Hitman 1 or 2?
Yeah.
I was on the fence.
You're on the fence.
They both had... Hitman 1 was more impactful for me. And Hitman 2, I was very in the community, like as a community leader type. So I think I had different experiences and both very positive. But I was more addicted and obsessed with Hitman 1. 800 something hours in Hitman 1, 700 something in Hitman 2.
Oh, wow.
If that says anything, yeah.
Yeah, wow. I think I've definitely played Hitman 1. I've got more in-game time in that entry, but I think that's only because obviously it came out first.
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm sitting on the fence. I couldn't possibly choose one or the other.
They're both excellent.
Yeah. But interestingly enough, I don't actually really see them as two separate games. Like I
agree.
They're two pieces of the puzzle that fit so well, particularly with the remastered maps in the legacy pack. So
it's so incredible to scroll through that whole destination screen in 3.
I can't wait, man. And I think I mentioned this too the other day when we first were talking to each other when we were organising ideas about the podcast. Just imagine being a player that like comes in once everything's there, like it's going to be with the full package from the get-go.
That would be such a good experience.
Yeah, I'm just envious in a way of anyone that can do that, play through everything one go, first time, bang.
Most missions in any of the games, like I think Silent Assassin had 20 missions.
Yeah.
So they've blown past that.
Yeah, and then you got the sniper maps and
sniper maps, contracts mode. Yeah.
So what elements of the first two games would you like to see appear in Hitman 3? In terms of, I won't. I'll let you just.
Okay. Yeah.
Whatever comes to mind.
Elements I would, and maybe elements I wouldn't, if I can think of that. I want to see more things like the Halloween escalation. I want them to. I want them to use the escalations as a playground for like the game designers to mess around with, if that makes sense. So if you remember the Halloween escalation, it was in Hawke's Bay.
In Hawke's Bay, yeah, it was a standout escalation. Yeah,
it was completely ridiculous and absolutely wonderful.
Yeah,
I like them to just play around. I like the Big Mooney one because it's a bit silly and fun. Yeah. But I want to see more, just like letting go of core Hitman mechanics and just trying different fun, crazy things. Yeah, that would be something I'd like to see more of. I would like to see maybe less of. Actually, before I do that, I want to see more community, maybe community curated contracts, because I like seeing the community get involved in part of the game. And something I wouldn't like to see. Let's have a think. Definitely no five level escalations.
Oh no, God
no. None of them. And
thank you, Coddy.
Yes. Coddy saved the world. Yep.
Yeah.
Coddy paradigm. Yeah. But
the one time they listened to
him. Sorry, Coddy. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a hard. Maybe I asked myself that question, what I don't want, but it's a hard question to answer because I really like so much. I know what it is. The electrocution phone. Nerf the electrocution phone. Get that out of the picture. Yeah, that's what I don't want.
Too easy.
Yeah.
Get out of jail free card. I agree with you on the escalations. I thought, universally speaking, I think the community really thought that escalation was excellent. And throughout Hitman 2, going back to just on the topic of escalations, I thought there were far too many in Hitman 2016.
Agreed.
Sorry, Hitman 1. Far too many, particularly with the 5 levels. I think after doing about 3 or 4 of them, I gave up. I just thought, nah.
Yeah, I did them all, but I didn't sound assassin them. I just blasted through them.
Just blasted through them, yeah.
It wasn't fun in the end.
No, it felt like a chore.
Yeah.
After a while. But
some of them were good, but yeah.
But with Hitman 2, I like the fact that they minimize them. But even with the amount that they minimize them, I also felt that, do you remember when they released the monthly roadmaps for Hitman 2? And you'd usually get 3, sometimes even 5 escalations per month. And I'd much prefer to see them release one monthly escalation that's at the quality of that Halloween.
Yeah, really high quality Halloween-esque escalation. Yeah. Fully agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's longer. It's just more engaging. They can experiment more, which kind of coincides with what you mentioned before about coming up with crazy ideas. And because, let's be honest, many of the escalations throughout Hitman 2, because I didn't play a lot of the escalations in Hitman 1. I couldn't comment. I couldn't judge them, but I've completed Hitman 2 on 100%, as I'm sure you have.
Yep.
And a lot of, particularly the what are they called? The ones, the knockout ones. I know there's a better word for it.
Pacify target with fish.
Pacification. Yeah. That's the word I'm looking for.
Which was a funny escalation, but yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, the one in Miami.
No, the one that was the Big Mooney one, I think.
Okay.
But there was one specifically in Scale where you smash a fridge open, grab a fish, I think, and then you just smack people in the face.
Okay.
But gameplay wise, it wasn't as.
Yeah, I think it was fun to begin with, but I think it just became repetitive. It was too repetitive. I think, and by the end, by the last 1 or 2 roadmaps, nothing that they were releasing was exciting me anymore, because it was all just, we'd seen it all, and it was just reskins for the rewards, and by the time you've unlocked your 50th suit, many of which are reskins.
It's true.
I think it was, a lot of people complained about the fact that they stopped releasing content after 12 months post launch of Hitman 2, but I thought it was good timing, because
I agree.
for me personally, I'm not speaking for I'm not speaking for anyone else. That's just my opinion. But
I never hated any of the content or like was like this is awful. Like 2016, I was like, why is there 20 Paris escalations? But in Hitman 2, I was like, okay, all right, I've had my fill with escalations.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. What are your thoughts on elusive targets?
Okay, yeah. So I like elusives. I think the gimmick has sort of been lost on me because I'm too good at the game, if that makes sense. Not a brag, but like I just know everything. So like all the mechanics and stuff. So I can easily manipulate people around doing stuff like that. But I'm hopeful that they will add the elusives into the game on a permanent rotation. So you can play it once per rotation, maybe once a week there's a new elusive. And including new elusives as well for Hitman 3. And I want all the old ones to come back. And yeah, maybe, so say every February for the first week, Gary Busey comes back, and then you can go do that. And then when it's finished, you can't play it again until the next loop. So you never permanently miss content, but you can always play it again one day. Something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be what I'd like, but everyone has different opinions on it. On elusives. Yeah. What's your thought?
I'd like to see the older elusive targets come back permanently, because particularly the season 1. Sorry, Hitman 1 elusive targets.
There's a lot missing.
Yeah, because especially there were so many. I think there were about 20 of them.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah,
and I just think that's like a lot of replay value we're missing out on.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. It'd be cool to have them come back on rotation.
Yeah.
Maybe throughout the lifespan of Hitman 3, while IO are still improving the game and releasing monthly content. But once development on Hitman 3 wraps up and they just say, right, that's it, we're done, we're going on to 007 now. Yeah. I think that they need to implement an offline mode.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. For offline.
For preservation, and particularly for PC, because obviously consoles eventually become obsolete.
Consoles are inherently have obsolescence built in.
Yeah, so they have to, for the preservation of the trilogy, they have to develop an online mode. That's
completely agree.
That's very important.
I would be very surprised if that didn't happen at some point. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure what the state of. I think it's still online. But I agree with you.
Yeah. So obviously, if they implemented an offline mode, I'd imagine elusive targets would have to become.
Yeah. I believe.
It'd have to become permanent content.
Yeah, I'd really hope they do that, because it just feels sad to lose so many missions, funny dialogue, gameplay. The game is forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe even like a menu, see all the elusives, and if you play it, you have like a 1 hour cooldown between your next playthrough, so you can it still has this tension like, oh no, I died, I have to wait an hour. All right. Something like that could be fun.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Still have a little bit of that tension. Yeah.
And particularly, if we're going to have like a 5 or 10 year gap between the World of Assassination and the next Hitman game, we need something to keep us occupied.
Yes.
We need something to chug us along. You can only play Sapienza so many. You can only destroy that damn virus so many times.
Yes. Too true.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I don't know. I don't want to slot in any like this is what I expect from Hitman 3. Yeah. I'm trying to go in with an open mind, and I'm just going to be. I think I'm just going to embrace whatever we get. Really.
Yeah. I trust them to do interesting things.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, and also I think they'll be putting. Something tells me they'll be putting a lot of passion into this final entry, because they know that this is the last Hitman game we're going to be working on for a while. I don't know. I don't know if it's gospel, but there seems to be rumors circulating. I've seen people saying around the place that this will be the last game.
It's a rumor. I think that what I've gathered from reading some of those rumors is that they don't want to just be known as the Hitman studio. Yeah. Like, lots of people can't name other games. They don't know what Mini Ninjas is. They don't know what Freedom Fighters is, or some do. Kane and Lynch is a bit more popular, but people don't. Here I am interactive. Your mind instantly jumps to a red tie, and then number 47. I think they want to not be the Hitman people, and if that requires a break and a 007 game,
well, I think that's
so be it.
I think that's the answer they need.
Yeah.
Despite it being very similar in genre, or not necessarily genre, but in theme, with the World of Assassination Trilogy, globe-trotting assassin slash spy
assassin thing,
yeah. But at least it's something. It's a good. It's probably they couldn't have a better franchise to overshadow Hitman if that's what their intention is, to break out of that kind of Agent 47 mold.
And of course, I'd be like, if we never saw a Hitman game again, of course I'd be sad about that. But I don't want them to get bored, and I want them to enjoy what they make, because making games is hard. Very difficult journey, I'm sure, for every game they make. So I can imagine what they feel after making 3 connected Hitman games. That'd be a relief and a joy at the same time.
Yeah,
looking forward to their future.
Yeah, 100%. Especially now that they have that second studio in Malmo in Sweden, across the water there.
Incredible,
No, it's exciting things to look forward to. Are you a big Bond fan?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I've literally only seen Skyfall, I think.
Oh, okay, wow.
So I've got a decent Bond experience, but I've never. I should go back.
Yeah.
And check them out.
Yeah, because I'm a huge 007 fan as well. So when IO announced that, the fact that they obtained that license, I was just
that would have been a moment.
Yeah.
Even like I understand Bond as a character, and just seeing that preview trailer, like the announcement, I was like, what, they got that? That is who they are. They've made a pretty much Bond game already. So incredible. Yeah,
it's insane. Yeah. And I think they have Hitman to thank for that, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a resume. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look what we made.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Q destroy the virus.
Yeah.
Very Dr. No.
Okay.
Yeah. So despite the fact IO moving on from Hitman, I think the best thing to contemplate is the fact that we're going to be able to cherish this final leg of the trilogy. And not only that, but hopefully with this podcast we can unify the community in a way. I
really hope so.
Yeah, and kind of use Hitman 3 as the main kind of driving force to bring a lot of the community together, but also touching on what we were talking about at the beginning of the podcast. You know, the whole kind of focus of this podcast isn't just to be on Hitman 3. It's also supposed to put a spotlight on the many talented individuals that make up this community.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot more to the Hitman than just the game. There's a world beyond it. Yeah,
100%. So, I've so far I've really enjoyed the experience of this first pilot. And I'm really kind of excited about where we might be able to take this, who we might be able to get on, what we might be able to discuss.
I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
what we might be able to showcase.
Small creators, fans, who knows, actors, devs. Yeah, we'll go for the whole gamut.
Yeah, why not? We definitely won't.
No promises for anything, but
no name dropping.
No name drops.
No name drops. Yeah. At least not this point in time. So we were thinking of concluding with a mailbag segment. So I put an announcement up on the All Things Hitman Community tab, inviting viewers to come over to the All Things Hitman Discord to answer a question, which is a topic we discussed earlier in the 2A interview, which was... I'll read it out now. So the question we asked viewers was, what first drew you to Hitman and why? We got a fair few responses.
Yeah, more than I expected, actually.
Yeah, 100%. Some short and sweet responses and the odd essay or two.
Yeah, sentimental essay, which is welcome.
Which is 100% welcome. Yeah. Well, Stephen Steph Star simply said, for me, a YouTuber I used to watch a lot played it. That's about it.
And I think a lot of people came in that way. I think you see these crazy runs from like Hitman YouTubers, or even people like, Bed Bananas.
Yeah.
All these like incredible cinematic videos. People are like, oh, this game looks good. So that's I reckon that's not an uncommon story.
No, not at all. In fact, I think, definitely. I think that would be the most common inspiration, right?
I'd say most likely.
Yeah.
Like, I think most games these days actually communities drive sales and a lot.
Yeah, definitely.
In fun ways. Yeah.
I mean, back in the day, like before the internet, it was more just, I saw my friend playing it, or I saw it at the video rental stall. Sorry, I saw it at the Video Easy or whatever in the video game rental section. It looked interesting. But nowadays,
that's exactly it.
Nowadays it's like, I saw so and so playing it on Twitch or YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So Snifflebox has a good one here. They said they also got into it via YouTube. I saw a few YouTubers playing Hitman 1, and I was attracted to the game straight away. This was before I even had a machine powerful enough to run it. And when I got an Xbox a while later in the summer of 2017, it was one of the first 3 games I had on it. And they say I found it on sale a week before the Xbox came out. The week before the Xbox came to them in the mail, I assume. Then quickly they got 200 hours in it, and since then they've loved it. What stood out to them were the beautiful locations and the funny kills.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful way to summarize Hitman.
Yeah.
The beautiful locations and funny kills.
That'd be a good tagline, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
And I think that's what sells the game to a lot of people is the like comedy of the kills. Like, look at most YouTube thumbnails for Hitman.
Oh yeah.
It's always like the ridiculous melee animations. Or,
yeah,
like,
absolutely. Like the katana going through someone's mouth from the back. Yeah, from behind. I remember those countdown channels like Watch Mojo or whatever. 10, top 10 funny kills in Hitman 2. And it gets like 5 million views.
All right, that works.
Something insane.
Because it's ridiculous game if you think about it. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
And the locations, incredible art design and direction.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nickel Canvas says, my cousin used to play it, and I watched him plan and carry out the perfect missions. I love that aspect of planning versus execution. Boom tish. Boom. And I've been playing myself since Hitman 2 Silent Assassin on the PS2. So we've got a real veteran there. Fellow veteran.
One of your own, yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of cool that he was intrigued by the strategy being developed by his cousin.
Yeah.
I think that's a totally different mindset when you're watching someone else play, because you're not actually strategizing yourself. You're more picking up on what the player that you're watching is doing.
And I think that's why the speedrunning scene's so interesting, Hitman.
Yeah,
because you get to look at people's minds.
Okay. Yeah, particularly with Throat's speedrunning community, because particularly with like Ghost Mode when it was still around.
Yep.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace,
Ghost Mode.
Huge shout out to Throat's speedrunning community, because they're very welcome to newcomers, and there's so many highly skilled players there, like ready to teach and help you and show off their runs and
and the different techniques they come up with.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, so Xavier DJ says, Hitman Contracts was my first experience with the Hitman series. I rented it on Gamefly, there's a callback, and enjoyed playing it through for a few weeks before backtracking and playing Hitman 2 Silent Assassin and Hitman Codename 47. The entire premise was amazing to me as a teenager, and I really loved the ability to replay. This was the first game that I had encountered so many different ways to approach a single mission, and I found it incredibly fun wearing different disguises. It also challenged my mind on how I could approach a level and helped me become a better player at any difficulty level in all games, not just the Hitman franchise. It was definitely a game that taught me to be more patient and enjoy my rewards, no matter how meaningless it may be to others. I cherish the series, as I feel I pretty much grew up with it, and I grew as a gamer because of it.
Hmm.
Right. So kind of a centerpiece of their sort of gaming life, I suppose. Hitman.
Yeah. I think I could definitely say the same for me as well.
Me too.
Yeah, I think any long-time Hitman fan would agree wholeheartedly with that entire sentiment. I love the way he articulates that point. It also challenged my mind on how I could approach a level and help me become a better player at any difficulty level in all games. So
I know what he's saying. Like the way you sort of learn how to think strategically about a space, like a opportunity space.
Thinking outside of the box almost.
That's it. Think outside the box. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really interesting point.
Thanks for the message, Xavier.
Yeah, thanks, Xavier. So Kentaro Fox says, hello, fellow Hitman fans. I also wanted to share my story, how I've gotten myself into Hitman. It all began in 2003 when I was 11. It's actually a similar age and time to when I first got into it with Silent Assassin. My classmate invited me to his home for playing, and he showed me Hitman Codename 47. He lended me the copy on CD. At the time, I was clueless on what the Hitman games were really about, and for all missions, I went in guns blazing. I can identify with that. Later, I've gotten a copy of Hitman 2 when I've pretty much did the same thing. Around the same time when contracts came out, I finally changed my approach and played on Silent Assassin. With Blood Money, I remember changing my mind and being blown away by how much it revolutionized the franchise. Very, very valid. Mechanics were refined and so many great features like accident kills were added. Yeah, they were, weren't they?
Yeah, huge feature, yeah. They weren't in the games before that.
No.
Maybe contracts, I don't know.
I think there were accident kills, but the concept hadn't, like the actual category of a kill hadn't been formalised. I've even done a couple of Hitman music videos on YouTube. Wow, you have to... We could put those in possibly to a showcase of community talent.
We can showcase them.
Kentaro Fox, if you're watching or listening, please get in touch. That about summarises my experience with Hitman games when I was a teenager in the 2000s. Yeah.
That's a great story.
That's an awesome story.
I really like how your progression, you remember your progression, like guns blazing, like mini games, and then you slowly sort of the levels and revealed themselves to you, I guess, in the intricacies, and you
it slowly evolves from guns blazing to like an art form.
Yeah, that's it. You really become it makes you feel like 47. I really like that story because I think I was maybe similar. I can't quite remember, but I think when I played Blood Money, I didn't really understand that Silent Assassin was so important. And then I just sort of went around most kind of stealthing, but kind of shooting, and I relate to that story a lot. Yeah.
We'll have to cover the rating systems in a future episode.
Absolutely, that's
something we didn't cover. It's only the pilot.
Yep, there's a lot to go. Oh god.
Kentaro Fox, they say something about Absolution. Kentaro Fox also goes on to say, Absolution, despite having its moments, was pretty much a letdown. Like it tried way too hard to rip off the Splinter Cell Conviction. I never played that game. Played some of the early games in that series. Hitman 1 put everything back on track. I loved everything about it, especially the level design. Got to agree with them there. It took Blood Money and merged it with the best aspects of Absolution, which is 100% true. Particularly
absolutely.
The best example being Instinct Mode.
Yes.
I think. Hitman 2 continued in that direction, and I'm already eager to play Hitman 3 after it drops.
Yeah.
That's a great summary.
Yeah. I think with the Splinter Cell Conviction thing, I think that was that was the version of Absolution for the Splinter Cell series. And I think
was it? Yeah, right.
The Splinter Cell Chaos theory, their Blood Money.
Oh, really?
Game. So yeah. They all worship that game.
Right.
They don't have
I only ever played Double Agent. I love that game. It's
That's
fantastic.
an old one, isn't it?
Yeah, I played it on PS2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I've only played the first one briefly and Chaos Theory briefly, but I'm saving them for a rainy day. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to buy them all on Steam and just smash them out. Probably once Hitman 3 has died down.
Yeah, when I've got nothing to play. Exactly.
So, right, we've got 5 years between out another Hitman game, and let's get into Splinter Cell. Maybe that's where we can take the podcast after. See
Splinter Cell podcast.
It's only the pilot.
Exactly.
That's going to become our tagline, I think.
It's only the pilot
for this episode, anyway. Yeah. It's only episode 24.
All right. Okay. And Grant Lester has one here. And this is a long story, but it's a good one. I first got into Hitman accidentally when I was, once again, 11 or 12 years old. I used to leave school with my friend every day and go to his house in my first year of high school. I vividly remember walking into his dad's office and seeing his dad play Hitman 2 Silent Assassin on his PC. At this point in my life, I hadn't ever played any proper PC games, as I only had consoles. But I remember being blown away by the graphics and realism of the game. Realism is in quotes there. We had gone into his office as my friend wanted to ask his dad where something was that we were going to play with the intention of leaving his office to go and play. However, I was hooked watching a bald man walk around on a computer monitor. A few weeks later, I was in the supermarket with my mum, and I spotted Hitman Codename 47 amongst the other PC games. It was £9.99, and I still had £10 left of my birthday money. So I asked my mum for it and ran back to the game aisle, grabbed it, and rushed to the checkout with it. Luckily, this was at a time when people didn't really understand the potential or explicit nature of games. So luckily for me, the old lady behind the checkout served me with no questions asked. I was, however, worried that my mum would ask questions, but somehow she was too busy to notice. All objectives were complete, and we headed for the exit. I took it home, installed it, to my shock, it played terribly on my home PC. I thought my long-anticipated Hitman experience was over then and there. But then I remembered my grandparents had recently bought a brand new PC, which they barely ever used. From that point on, I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. Looking back, it was unfortunately for the wrong reasons, let's be honest. I was absolutely magnetized to this game. I begged and pleaded my mum for a new PC so I could play it at home. In the end, she struck up a deal that if I ever went and worked at as a newspaper deliverer, she would put down the money for a new PC for me, and I would pay her back every week I got paid. The cheek. So I began working at a newspaper shop at 6 a.m. every day, delivering papers to my community. I hated it, but it was worth it, just so I could see the bald head on my own PC monitor, and the rest is history. Great story. Yes, absolutely a clap deserved for that one.
No, that's a great story. 100%.
Yeah. The dedication to Hitman. Wow.
Oh yeah. Props to Grant for
Who gets up
sharing
at
that with
6
us.
a.m.?
Yeah. And such an imaginative description as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. 5 stars. Thanks very much for sharing that with us, Grant.
Yes, thanks, Grant. That was great. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
Good idea. And thanks to everyone else for sharing as well.
Yeah.
We got a lot of responses.
We did get a lot of responses. Sorry we couldn't mention everyone. We just kind of have to work with time constraints, but we value everyone's input, so thank you.
Yeah, we read everything.
We do read everything. Yeah.
Hmm.
And, there's hopefully plenty of episodes to come, so I'm sure if you keep submitting, if you weren't shared this time, chances are you will be in a future episode. And we'll definitely try. We won't make a habit of sharing the same people all the time.
Yeah, definitely try and include everyone in. Feature everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So that about concludes things for this pilot episode.
That was really fun.
Yeah, it was. It was such a cool experience. Obviously doing the cast interview. Introduced me to a new kind of podcast style format, and something that I really, really enjoyed. So not only is doing this podcast exciting for all the reasons we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, but also because it's just a new, like, from the perspective of a content creator, when you're just making videos all the time, despite the fact that it's still enjoyable, it does just get so repetitive at times. And to have a new medium of creative control and outlet, it's fantastic. And I'm really optimistic about it. I'm sure you feel the same way.
So am I, yeah. Like, obviously I'm not a content creator in the same way as you, but I think I'm really excited to, work in exactly a medium I've not worked in before, and have a chat and have a look into the community that kind of has been with Hitman since the beginning, as we heard in the stories today.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of really the focus of what this podcast we want it to be going forward.
Yeah, Hitman Community centric. Yeah, put a spotlight on the community. That's I think the main premise of the podcast.
Yes.
It's not going to be a news podcast that regurgitates.
No. there might be a brief segment of news.
Oh, of course.
But we're not going to be.
Of course.
It's not going to be 30-minute news.
No. Of course, we will cover Hitman 3 updates and of course.
Absolutely.
But that won't be our sole focus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we're going to be looking at the community, seeing what people create, tracking down people that we could have as guests, and of course, because this is such a community-centric podcast, we are really interested in getting some feedback on this episode. So feel free to leave scathing reviews or positive reviews, and we can take it.
Hit that dislike button.
Yes. No,
please don't.
I think we're very open to viewer
constructive feedback.
Yeah,
100%. We don't have like a concrete plan in place. We don't have a set schedule yet of, say, how many episodes we'll be releasing. That's still in stages of infancy, isn't it, in terms of production?
We're still discussing and developing the thing. But
it's
very much a pilot.
Yeah, as has become a bit of a catchphrase in this episode, it's just the pilot.
Yes, just the
pilot. So at this stage, very early stages, this might, who knows, this might be the only episode we do. I doubt it, but we just got to take it episode by episode, don't we? And
exactly.
And see where it takes us, I suppose.
Yeah,
I think.
Let's see where the community takes us as well.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, definitely. So obviously, the podcast is going to have two main mediums, obviously video and audio. We've decided to share the burden of production. So obviously, I'll be doing the video side of things. You'll be organising the audio side of things, Tim.
Yeah, I'll be handling the audio. And it's still in the experimental stage, so expect obviously there's a video version of this if you're watching it, but I'm going to be, because I'm still working out how to release a podcast on audio feeds and in all your podcast apps, so that's a work in progress. It might not exist for this episode, but episode 1 we should have it nailed down. If there is a version, check the description. If there is an audio version, we'll put it there.
Yeah, definitely. So still got a bit of research to do, but between now and then, when we release the video, there will be a link there if there's an audio version available. I suppose we definitely won't release another episode prior to launch.
No.
So episode 1, you mentioned earlier we got to come up with wacky names for each episode.
Escalation type names.
Get our thesaurus out.
Yeah, exactly. I think it'll be a bit of fun.
Yeah. I think it will be fun. Yeah. I think
that's the podcast.
I think that's the podcast.
Pilot episode.
Yeah. So thank you everyone if you made it this far for watching or for listening.
If you have feedback, leave in the comments. If you liked it, didn't like it, really thanks for listening. That's like, I'm not a content creator. I guess I kind of am now, but we're we're all improving, we're all learning how to run a podcast. So it's a new thing. And
Yeah.
thanks for being here with us. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much, everyone. And thank you to all those again that made the effort to leave a response in the mailbag segment. That's really cool that we're already getting that that support.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Until next time.
Yes. Signing off.